Okay. Hello, everyone. I am waiting on Instagram, going live for the first time with Instagram, along with my YouTube and Facebook Live. So let's get started. I gotta stop doing that. Okay, it is Saturday, November 6th. Since I am going live for the first time on Instagram, I will introduce myself. I am Nneka King. I am the owner of King's Legacy Group. And Saturdays are for the after hour conversations that I'm trying to initiate within our relationships, our family, um, and even with friends. This is helping us start the taboo or hard to discuss topics amongst ourselves and with our loved ones. So, welcome to Saturday King's Legacy Group After Hours. I have done about a month worth of videos for the King's Legacy Group After Hours, which is on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as I stated, first time on Instagram, I decided to use my second phone for that. So, Saturday is geared towards the topics that are focused on relationship skills, personal development, mental wellness, and just open discussion. And those of you that don't know me personally, I can talk about any and everything. I'm not shy. I have a personality that, well, I just speak my mind. So I wanted to add this type of platform to King's Legacy Group. And King's Legacy Group initially started for financial literacy, of which I initiated those live episodes on Sundays and Wednesdays. Sundays were geared towards our youth, and Wednesday is geared towards the adults. Once the information started to collide between the youth and the adults as far as financial literacy, I decided to end Sunday Live and just do the financial literacy on Wednesday Live, Eastern Standard Time at 7 p.m. Sometimes at 8, depends on my schedule, but it is supposed to be at 7. And I incorporated Saturday Live for the personal side because financial literacy is not that different because it's about how to create the situation of what we go through in life that will better help us maneuver through life. So along with the financial literacy side of it, we need the personal and mental wellness as well. So that's what Wednesday and Saturday is about. So let's get started on our topic for this evening. Last Saturday, I had mentioned I was going to talk about, well, anyway, I changed my mind and decided to talk about first the stages of a relationship. Last Saturday, I talked about chivalry. So I decided to talk about the stages of relationship before I bring up the initial topics that I wanted to start next. So let's just get to it. So this is video 31 for Saturday episode, The Stages of a Relationship. And before I get started, if you would take the time to click like and share, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, and now Instagram. It will help us grow the platform so that we could reach more people to get the information that's needed to improve our financial and our personal lives. So, the short disclaimer: the information shared on this platform is based on my own opinions, experiences, practices, and insight into the life lessons that can help guide you and you and me in this journey. As the speaker of King's Legacy Group, I am not a licensed therapist, counselor, or psychologist. The videos are for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. You must do your own due diligence and seek any professional advice that you feel you need to confirm or expand your understanding of knowledge on any topics covered on this platform. But as always, remember to make smart decisions that suit your own needs based on your own circumstances. All righty. So, as I stated, today we're going to talk about the stages of dating relationships. Every relationship moves through 5 stages of emotions, and they are the merge stage, the doubt and denial stage, the disillusion stage, the decision stage, and the wholehearted love stage. These stages are a cycle, okay? These stages are not permanent. And each stage you're going to revisit, even if you have reached the wholehearted love stage, the infatuation stage, the commitment stage. So nothing is set in stone because a relationship is about the emotions. So you are bound to revisit a cycle that you thought you probably already got through because we are human beings. We are flawed. There's no such thing as a perfect relationship. So let's move on through this. The understanding that no relationship is perfect, you have to be able to take the strengths within a relationship. And the strength within a relationship has usually come from the level of expectations being met on both sides within the relationship. Hopefully with that mutual, let me turn this off, but it's come back on. Hopefully throughout the stages, the emotional stages of a relationship, and you get to the point of wholehearted love, you have built a good foundation that will sustain you to go through the cycle of those phases that you started from to what you ended up with. Because nothing is going to stay the same all the time. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is set in stone. It's based on each person within the relationship, on how they learn and grow in building that relationship. So let's go through the merge phase, which is also known as the honeymoon phase. Now, this phase overwhelms the human emotions through joy, anticipation, physical attraction, and feeling that this could be the one. And can I see myself with him or her? We all go through the honeymoon phase, feeling good and excited when you first meet somebody and things seem like they're going well. You have a connection with somebody. And if you are someone who would say you don't go through the honeymoon phase, you lying. I mean, we all have that brief moment of the hormones within us that are stimulating the brain to um, to surge with all the emotions when it comes to being in a relationship. And it doesn't matter whether you in a relationship just for immediate gratification, whether you want a hookup or whether you're looking for a long-term relationship, a commitment that could lead to marriage. Whatever the case may be, we all have the honeymoon stage of feeling so good in the beginning. You buy new clothes to anticipate the dates. You do things better as far as perfect example. I don't shave my legs until I get in a relationship. If I'm not in a relationship, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna be comfortable and natural. Uh, so yeah, that's just one example. We all have those those rituals that we do in the beginning of a relationship of meeting somebody, for preparation of the what if. So yeah, that's just my little corny thing that's one thing I just don't do. If I'm not in a relationship, I'm not shaving. And you can take that how you want to take it. I said legs, but I meant everything else too. I just don't do all that if I'm not in a relationship. So yeah, the honeymoon phase gets you to thinking, could this finally be the one? Could I have some happiness? Which is the wrong thing to think, because no one can make you happy but you. If you find and are involved in a relationship that brings you joy, that brings you peace, that brings you motivation, that's just extra. You can't expect the love that you should have for yourself to be the responsibility of the other person to stimulate. If you don't love yourself first, how can you love somebody else? If you don't know who you are as a person first, how can you engage in a relationship? If you haven't dealt with your issues before entering into a relationship, you're setting yourself up for failure. So, the honeymoon stage, the merge phase, usually lasts for the first 1 to 3 months. Now, I said 3 months. Now, if you think back to someone like Steve Harvey, okay, let's do the 90 days. The reason he says wait 90 days, or it's good to wait 90 days before you become intimate with someone, because during that honeymoon phase, you have clouded judgment because of the emotions, your surge of hormones that can alter your logical thinking, that can cause you to make the bad decisions, doing things that are out of your comfort zone, not abiding to your own values that you have set in place, but you're doing things to deter from honoring your own values. So the honeymoon stage is the surge of emotions that can cause bad decisions. So that's why he says, and it's logical, makes sense to wait 90 days before you become intimate with someone. I don't know about you, but most women are emotional creatures. Most good women don't want to have sex until they have, well, let me rephrase that. Um, I can't do casual sex. For me to be intimate with someone, it has to be a level of emotion and trust and And I'm not knocking y'all that do the hookups and all that. That's your personal preference. No judgment. But for those of us that are looking for long-term committed relationships, me personally, I can't be intimate with someone unless I have built a relationship of trust, and it just won't happen. I'm not the casual person. Now, also, a good woman goes through phases of, we all have done it, of not caring. And that's being someone that we are not really meant to be or want to be. And I mean, I'm not saying I've never done a hookup with somebody, but someone I knew, not just a hookup of a stranger. No, I don't have never done that. But I've made the choice of, when I'm going through a situation that I've given up on finding love, or just sick of men, period, with the BS. Um, Most of us women have gone through a phase, and that's called I don't care phase, or whatever word you want to use. I don't, yeah. We have all, well, not we have all, but most of us have done that. But it doesn't last long because that's not naturally me. It may have been for a short period of time, but I'm a relationship girl. Um, I'm looking for long-term commitment. Um, so again, not knocking anybody that does the one night stands or the non-committed relationships. That's your deal. That's your deal. But I know me. So going through that short phase of lying to myself that I could do this, no, I can't. I can't do it. That's it. It won't last. So the next phase, the doubt and denial. This is when you notice the differences between you and wake up from the infatuation, and the behaviors start to annoy you. Now, during the doubt and denial phase, you need to understand that friction is natural. You're going to have some arguments. It's about how you deal with arguments, how you deal with discussions, how you deal with debates, whatever words you want to use. You can't think everything is going to be perfect or hunky dory all the time, although there's no such thing as perfect, as I said before. It's how you deal with the friction that will generally occur within a relationship. Um, you start to question whether this person is compatible with who you are. But one thing that you can't do is you can't ignore red flags. You can't allow your boundaries to be crossed. You can't pretend like the pet peeves don't bother you, which means that means you got to speak up. Um, Whether those initial infatuation of feelings are temporary or not, you're going to question what you initially felt before during the honeymoon phase is changing or lasting, which usually it is changing, because most people put on a facade in the beginning. Not everyone is capable of being completely honest, being able to express who they really are from the get-go, because most people want to impress the other person. Me personally, I am who I am in the beginning to end. I don't change, I don't alter my behavior or my thought process or my ideas, my ambitions, my goals, my feelings. I'm going to show you who I am from day one to in between until the end. And I know not everyone can do that. So that's why I put focus on implementing good conversation. Along with the conversation, I have to be able to listen And I expect the other person to know how to listen as well. Because good conversation is not achieved if the people in the conversation don't know how to listen. And I had to learn that over the years. I used to, and it was unintentional. I felt that I was right and that the person should have a similar thought process for us to work. I used to be that way, when I was younger. But with age and maturity, I learned to work on that. It's not easy. I will say it's hard. So, yeah, it was a challenge for me to put in effort to listen to the other person and not be the one to always trying to get my point across. I had to learn that my point wasn't the only valid or acknowledgeable process. So yeah, I had to work on that. And I'm 49. It took me probably about 20 years to 20 years of process to get to the point that I am. I can admit that. During the doubt and denial stage, you start to recognize again whether you are actually compatible. What was good to you and felt good in the beginning can become an annoyance, can become a phase of questioning what you felt before and what you have grown to see of what you felt before. Again, with the person not being able to sustain who they presented to you in the beginning, you start to eventually see who that person really is. So that's when you make the decision whether the things that you are questioning are worth sticking around for, whether you can see potential in the person who is showing a real interest in learning each other to grow and be better within a relationship. So you got to look at both sides and see if those doubts are open for continued investment. You have to be aware of whether your relationship goals are still in line with each other, whether the relationship has the attributes that you look to achieve. And that all falls on you being equally yoked with the person you're involved with. And I'm not talking about just on the biblical side. I know that most of us women, and yes, I'm going to say women, we have this idea of what a relationship should be or what we want a relationship to be. And if we don't see the majority of that within the person we're dealing with, we are quick to make judgment, which can lead to walking away. We are sometimes our own worst enemy within relationship. Or just even not communicating what we actually are looking for, what we want within a relationship. We can usually be our own enemy. The phase for doubt and denial usually happens within that 3 to 6 months phase of initially meeting the other person. After that, if we continue the relationship, we fall into the decision phase. Now, this is where your skills of conflict management will prove to be essential to face the relationship concerns, and hopefully we are able to treat the decisions that we make within a relationship with care and respect. You can't be so quick to assume that when there's conflict within a relationship, meaning you're not on the same page on every single thing, but you can't be on the page on every single thing because we're individuals and we have different objectives. We have different ideas. It doesn't mean that that's a sign that it just won't work. It can just mean that just because there's conflict, if you believe that it's worth it, you will work for it because the positives outweigh the negatives. Again, you can't expect perfection. No such thing. Now, the difference between being able to know the difference between a healthy disagreement and an unhealthy or having unhealthy control issues. This is the perfect time to know and recognize the other's love languages on how they want to receive love. And I'll talk about love languages in another video. I actually recently got the book on the 5 love languages. Now, although I knew what they are, I still wanted to get the book to just read the whole thing. So I ordered this. I don't know if you can see the light in the way. You can see it better that way. So that's going to be on a different video, on a different episode, talking about the 5 love languages. But again, before you enter into any relationship, you got to know who you are first. You can't start a relationship thinking that the other person is going to save you, going to be the one that's responsible for bringing you happiness. No, it don't work like that. No. But again, you must know who you are. You need to know what you're actually looking for and what your expectations are within a relationship. You can't demand something of someone else if you haven't even set that level of expectations for yourself. I would never ask someone to do for me or be someone that I'm not willing to be or do for them. That's just me. How can I ask you to be everything for me and I ain't got my own shit together to be what I need to be for you? That's just impractical. So know yourself first before you jump into a relationship and thinking that that person is going to fill the void that's within your life or yourself. That's not another person's responsibility. It's not another person's responsibility to make you happy. You got to have your own happiness first, and that will allow you to receive genuine genuine attempts of someone who wants to build a relationship with you. Now, the decision phase usually happens between the 6 to 12 month period, which can lead to the disillusion phase. Now, for me, when I have started a relationship and it ends up lasting a year is my cutoff time to make a decision on whether I'm going to continue with the relationship or I need to walk away. And I started doing that I'll start working now. probably 1998. That's when I started doing that. I would give myself a year. And if things weren't progressing or we weren't on the same page, I left that relationship alone. It didn't end it in bad terms or anything, but I made the choice I wasn't going to devote any more time if we weren't going in the same or similar direction. We wanted the same thing of the relationship. Um, so yeah, I had a cutoff time. Sorry, I just thought about something. But so that decision phase is when you gather all your information on what you have observed and learned from that person to see if they're a good fit. It doesn't make any sense to linger within a relationship. Now, I just said that I would give myself a year to make a decision whether I would be with someone. Now, my last relationship, I did give that too much time than what I should have because I genuinely trusted that person and I trusted him around my daughter and I knew the kind of man he is. Um, Although with the flaws that bothered me, I valued I put more value on some of his traits that are hard to find in most men. I will admit that. So I put more value on the positive than the negative things of him. And I thought that I was giving him time to, I guess, see the value in the relationship and want to do more. That was wrong of me. I should have ended it when after a year. And we didn't end on bad terms, still friends, but um, expecting him to potentially be a husband, I had to let that go. Once I accepted that was not going to happen, I had to let that go. And it's okay. Um, I will admit part of the attraction with that on why I stayed longer than what I should have, because I felt that it was a safe relationship. He wasn't doing a lot of the things that I needed him to do as a man with relationship skills. The foundation stuff he had, but the overall relationship skills that were needed to sustain and grow the relationship, it wasn't there for him. So I had to let that go. No hard feelings. Uh, yeah, I felt it was a safe relationship. So I relied on that more than what bothered me within the relationship and hoped that it would change. But it didn't, and it's okay. He is who he is, and I am who I am. We're just two good people who were not a good fit for each other. And I accept that. Moved on. Let's see. The wholehearted love phase. Oh, I forgot to. The disillusion phase normally happens around the 10th, 12th month cycle because you set a time frame of, like I said, 1 year to decide if you will end the relationship. Um, that conversation hopefully is between you two and not just one-sided, like you just make the decision on your own and you haven't discussed the issues or concern with the other person. um, Within that conversation, if you still do not see the opportunity to grow in the same direction of the relationship goes, then yeah, you got to make that decision. Especially when you started out the relationship, it was I. You progressed in the relationship, it became we. But at some point, you disconnected and it reverted back to I. That's a clear sign that it's time to make a change in the relationship. Um, and people just, people grow apart from each other. Again, starting with those other phases of the honeymoon phase and um, the questioning phase, doubting what you felt initially, because you actually start to see who the person is. The disillusion of what you were infatuated with has become actually reality, and you can't ignore what's reality over the initial infatuation. So, yeah. So, the wholehearted love phase. When a relationship is at its healthiest and most rewarding, um, when a relationship has experienced self discovery, the acceptance of imperfection in both of you is, like I said before, there's more positive outweighing the negative. There's no disillusion of who each other is. You have learned and developed a relationship that recognizes the individuality of each person, how you complement each other within the relationship, the potential of where the relationship can go because you're driven in the same direction with the same relationship goals. That's a wholehearted love phase. You recognize each other, you value the relationship, and knowing that the hard work that you each put into the relationship is a constant commitment, and each person is invested in growing their relationship, seeing the value of each other. The value of each other and the value of the relationship that you all are developing together. Each person is looking forward to rediscovering each other and falling in love all over again, and making a real effort to build something together. Um, so yeah, we all go through these stages of a relationship. Now we all know the basic stage of relationships themselves. You have your stage one, which is the initial meeting, that initial attraction and all that stuff. Let me talk about attraction. We all know that men are more visual. Okay. In the previous video, I had talked about, it's an annoyance for me when a man doesn't understand timing and tactfulness. I know that a man that approaches me looks at me sexually. That's common. That's not something I'm offended by, but I get offended when that man doesn't know how to time his approach and be tactful about his approach when it comes to sex. I'm not ignorant to, yes, initially, and when a man meets you, yeah, he's thinking about what he want to do to you or what he can do to you. That's automatic. But men don't understand, women do the same thing. But again, for me, it's about timing and tactfulness. I don't have an issue about you looking at me sexually. I have an issue about when and how you open your mouth to think that's, what you can get from me. So for me, I really wish that more men would go back to old school and learn how to court a woman. That is a dying trait. It is really a dying trait. And I wish it would come back. It would be so helpful to have more men know how to court a woman. So stage 2, that comes with the curiosity, the interest, the infatuation, and the measures of intent. Within that first 1 to 3 months, remember I talked about most people don't know how to really show who they are. They put on a facade, they put on an act because they want to convince you that they're what you want. So they put a lot of effort into that. And I'm talking about men. So what I look for after, 2-3 months on how those measures of intent are being consistent, or if those measures are slowly declining. And that gives me the idea of whether they were being truthful in the beginning on their behavior and their intentions, or they have gotten to the point where, because it's exhausting being in a relationship. So for a man to prove himself and a woman to prove herself, we put in a lot of energy because we're driven off of that stimulation of hormones that drive us to prove that we're worth choosing. But after a while, the energy dies down, the hormones decline. And that's when the person can no longer put on the facade of who they were portraying, who they were trying to portray themselves to be to you. So that's why it's good to wait 3 months before you actually have sex. Especially if you are someone who attaches emotions to being intimate. So by waiting 3 months, you can hopefully avoid the regret phase. So that's the purpose of the 90 days. Give that person time to let down their shield and show you who they really are before you make the decision of sharing yourself, because your body is your temple. Your emotions should be protected, but that's up to you to protect your emotions, not for the other person to do that. Protecting your emotions from the other person comes with the discussion of a committed relationship. Now, stage 3, the discussion stage. This is where you and your partner, once you make the decision to grow the relationship, this is the point of labeling the relationship. Yes, a woman wants the relationship to be labeled. Can't get around that. If she says she doesn't, she lying. Just on the sole premise of the purpose of marriage, a man choosing a woman, because a man is supposed to propose to a woman. A woman wants to be chosen. So of course we want to have the relationship labeled. I need to know where we are, what we are to each other, and what are our intentions of the relationship going forward. If you are a person looking for a long-term committed relationship that will lead to marriage, or just a committed relationship, it doesn't have to lead to marriage. Not everybody is for marriage. Another discussion. But yes, you have to get to the point of where you both sit down and define the relationship. It's not a, it's, we have to get past this making assumptions. Assuming if we sleeping together, you my man, I'm your woman, it's just us two. If you all haven't had the discussion, I can tell you right now, because men, when it comes to those discussions or arguments or whatever the case may be, men, they will take advantage of the words being used. If they didn't say something, first thing they're going to say, why did you think that? We never had that discussion. I never said that. Yes, men do that. They play on words and use that against you when y'all having those discussions or arguments, all because you or y'all made assumptions within the relationship because you did not have a discussion for clarification. Happens all the time. Perfect example. Me and Kayla's dad. That relationship initially started as, I can't even say friends with benefits, because we grew to be friends. So it started initially with being benefits. That was me going through my phase, one of my phases of not caring, didn't trust to be in a relationship, can't find no good man, so I'm just going to enjoy myself. Started with that. We did have a period of getting to know each other without intimacy, because when he approached me, I was actually his manager. So I was like, no, we can't do anything until, because the company was about to close the office here in Atlanta. So I was sent to Texas to train a new call center to take over our area of calls for the Southeast. So I was sent to Texas for a few weeks to train the new call center in McAllen, Texas. So during that time, I think I was gone for like 3 weeks. So we used that time to, communicate by phone and, get to know each other and all that stuff. And then when I got back, the office was about to close. And I was like, okay, well, we can go on a date now, because the office will be shut down after this period. And we started dating, spending time together. Had we were really attracted to each other. Now, even though we started the relationship, when we became intimate, we again initially started the relationship as, benefit friends. Now, with me, although it wasn't my true character to just be casual, I was convincing myself this was the best thing for me, because I wasn't having any luck finding love. And because we had this, hard attraction for each other, and we had common interests, we enjoyed each other's time doing things. And this went on for a very long time. And eventually I started to think, we're in a relationship. And a few years later, yes, I say years later, we had an argument, and he said he didn't see me that way because of how we started. And I'm sure you all have heard this before on how you start a relationship is how you end up in that relationship. So because we started the relationship without the mutual understanding of really classifying the relationship, or when the feelings changed, classifying the relationship. Because even though we had not officially classified the relationship, we had gotten to the point of saying, I love you. And when those words came into place, that's when my mindset changed and thought, okay, we are in a relationship. I'm your woman, you my man. But he was still in a mindset of friends with benefits that became good friends, really good friends. But yeah, he was still dating other people. And even still, with the other baby mama. This is before Kayla was, even conceived. So yeah, you got to have the conversation. And most women, not saying it doesn't happen with the man, but most women, once their emotions get involved, their mindset has changed on what the relationship is, just on assumption. But until a man tells you exactly, and y'all have that conversation and agree on what you have together, we can't assume anything. So yeah, you got to start having the discussion and label the relationship. Either you're going to choose to be the choice to be a couple, and what that looks like for the both of you. Don't assume anything. You got to talk about it. But I know most women are not going to want to talk about it because they don't want to hear what they don't want to hear. Yeah, that's when the truth comes out and your feelings are hurt. So if you don't make the attempt to actually discuss the grounds of your relationship, and nowadays most men tell you up front what the relationship is. Most women just choose not to listen, or they figure we're gonna show them so much love and that we're the one that they should choose. They're gonna change their mind. No, listen to the man when they tell you, because they usually tell you up front. And Kevin told me, I didn't mean to say his name. Damn. Kayla's dad told me up front. But I didn't listen. I just assumed because we spent so much time together, so much time together, doing so many things together, being intimate with each other, I automatically assumed that transition happened. But it didn't happen, not on his end. And I couldn't get upset when we had the discussion of what things really were. I couldn't get upset because I had to be honest and admit I didn't have the discussion, and I made my own assumptions of the relationship. Now, I'm almost embarrassed to say how long that lasted. We met in 2000. Kayla is 15 now. I wasted, okay, Kayla was born in 2006. So I wasted 6 years of my life on a man who had not made a commitment to me. Yeah. 6 years I wasted because of my assumptions. Yeah, that's way too long. Lesson learned, lesson learned. All right. It is 9:15. I do not want to exceed my hour. I think I got started like 8:20. So stage 4, the commitment. At this point, There needs to be another discussion. Does this mean a committed relationship that is not expected to end in marriage? Now, I know some people, now I'm partial to both. I'm okay having a committed long-term relationship and we not get married. Everything but the actual paper. But I'm also open to the same but ends in marriage. But for me to say yes to marriage, there has to be so many things in place for me to say yes to marriage, to put it on paper. And that's a discussion, that's a topic for another video because I don't have enough time now. But I'm flexible for both. And that means discussions for both scenarios and we both on the same page. So, yeah, another topic for another time. Like even if I found a partner that I could really call a partner with the potential of marriage, even when there's an engagement, I'm not going to get married too soon, because at the point of choosing engagement, accepting engagement, the questions will change. There are new questions that need to be asked at that stage. And I'm going to have a video coming up probably in another 4 weeks because I have other topics to bring up before then. But it's going to be a topic of what questions you should be asking at each of these stages. And remember, I don't hold my tongue, so I'm going to bring up, it's going to be probably a 3-part series to that. The questions that we need to ask at these different stages. I'm not going to marry anybody unless I know for sure it's a good fit. Because I don't believe in divorce. If you marry, I don't believe in divorce, unless for 2 reasons will I do divorce. He put his hands on me, and hopefully we can get to divorce if I don't kill him first. Or he's an habitual cheater. I may give you one time, depending on the situation. I may. It depends on the situation. But if it's just in you to cheat, and I find out about this after the marriage, yes, we getting divorced. Those are the only 2 reasons I would divorce. Ain't no second chance on the putting your hands on me. No. I don't understand why you think that'll be the case during the time you date me. Think that's gonna happen. No, not accepting or forgiving of that. So, yeah. So my tips. Oh, stage 5, of course, is marriage. Is this commitment moving towards marriage? Again, there are different questions that should be asked at each of these stages, and that will come up in another video. So the tips I want to give for tonight, you need to enter a new relationship. Once you enter a new relationship, you have to work on your past traumas first. You need to know who you are as a person first. You need to know what your expectations are within a relationship first. And you need to put time and effort in devoting to put time and effort for an equally yoked relationship. I wish most women would not be in love with the idea of being in love, that they compromise, they settle, and not being practical within a relationship. That's our fault when we do that. You need to schedule time to discuss pertinent questions at different stages of a relationship with your significant other, especially if you all are both talking about having a committed relationship. You got to have the discussions on the hard topics. Regardless of how uncomfortable it makes you, you have to talk. You have to listen. There has to be a mutual agreement on what you all are deciding on to do within the relationship. You cannot make assumptions. Even if it's what you don't want to hear, you need to know and be aware of what's going on, what that other person is thinking. Because if it's not in line with what you have in mind, don't continue to waste your time. You can't change a man to be who and what you want. They have to want it for themselves and then want it because of the relationship that they value within you and the relationship. That's when a man would change. First, because they want to for themselves to be a better man, and then for you and the relationship. I don't care how good of a woman you think you are, how much you do for a man. You cannot change a man's mind. They want it first for themselves, then they want it for you and the relationship. We always talking about what's needed to maintain or save a relationship is communication. Yes, you do need to learn how to communicate, but if you don't know how to listen, you're not communicating. If you don't know how to listen, you are not effectively communicating. We have to learn to shut up and listen. We have to learn to not be selfish within relationship and make it all about what you want and what you need. A relationship is a give and take. It's a 50-50. Yes, it's a 50-50. You have to learn to compromise. You have to learn to listen. You have to learn to put in the work of a relationship. And it's not one person putting in the work, it's both of you putting in the work of the relationship. Nothing that's worth having is easy to do. So I'm going to say good night. Oh, being consistent. Your words should match your actions. Your actions should match your behavior. Your behavior should follow with intent. And your goals of the relationship should be aligned with each other. That's having an effective relationship. If you are missing those things, it's not going to work. You're going to be miserable. You're going to make bad decisions. And the biggest decision is choosing to cheat because you're not getting what you want out of your relationship with this person. You're going to end up seeking it from somewhere else. Or you're going to mistreat the person you're in a relationship with because you're not happy. All right. Next Saturday, I'm going to extend the conversation on the stages of a relationship, with the initial meeting, the infatuation stage, the discussion, the commitment, and leading to marriage. But I'm also going to start the topic on couples finance, because remember, Wednesday is the financial literacy aspect of King's Legacy Group. So this coming Wednesday, I'm actually going over couples finance. Next Saturday, after I elaborate more on the stages of the relationship, I'm going to flow into the couples finance that I covered on Wednesday. So it's going to be a 2-part for next Saturday. So if you're interested, I hope to see you back. Please click like and click share. If you like to be notified of when King's Legacy Group goes live, then click subscribe. Whether you're on, I don't know if it does it on Instagram. I don't know if it does or not. So, if it does, great. But I know on YouTube and Facebook, you can subscribe. Let's see. Vacation coming up. We have Thanksgiving, November 22nd through the 26th. That's 5 days. I will not be going live. I'm sure I'll be making some posts, but I will not be going live. And then we have winter break for December 22nd to December 25th. And then the 25th through January 3rd. So December 22nd through January 3rd, I will not be going live. That is my break. That is my time to reset my brain and give it some relaxation. So, closing statement. We are at the end. I hope that you found some value in the content shared tonight. So until next time, please take care of yourselves and know that knowledge is real power when you apply it. And remember that a road better planned is easier traveled. So I will see you all next Saturday for the personal and mental wellness side of King's Legacy, or I will see you Wednesday for the financial literacy. If you are interested in the financial literacy side of it, I have over 20 some videos, and it talks about everything from what you need to set up for your child to get ready for adulthood and financial wellness and generational wealth, to finances, to how to start a business, how to go into business with the government, how to get contracts, personal credit, business credit. It's a lot. So please take a look at the videos for the financial literacy side of it. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. I give a lot of information and it's for free. It's for free. So take a look at it. I'm going to say good night and take care of yourselves. Okay, how I end Instagram? How I end Instagram? Oh my goodness. Lord, I got to figure out how. Okay, it's the X. Yep, end video. All right, good night, everybody.